Colleagues, as we move on now, we need to report back obviously on the highlights of the breakaway rooms. And I will start because I was in breakaway room number 1 yesterday, which dealt with scholarship of research, as well as scholarship of engagement. Initially, we had 4 submissions for presentations, but we ended up having 3 presentations yesterday, but really very interesting because I noted that despite not having the one presenter or the one group presenting for us yesterday, we were able to cover the time as if they were there to show the level at which the presentations were and the type of engagements that we had. The first topic that we had was from the group led by Professor Fidoza Wahi, which has Lusan Africa, Labika Jaffa as well. And the topic that they presented was the development and validation of an instrument to measure the impact of service learning on multiple stakeholders. So what happened here was that the study which they were conducting was based on the use of the concept indicator method, which was applied to evaluate an interprofessional service learning program offered at UWC. But what they did was that once they did the evaluation of the service learning, it resulted in the identification of 3 core concepts. And those 3 concepts, which I think the group that we were in really found interesting, were as follows. The first one was curriculum. Secondly, community-based learning. And thirdly, community-university partnerships. And the benefit, obviously, of their work, which is also the highlight of what they've done, is that it is a benefit to those that need a tool to evaluate the impact of service learning, especially in the module, on multiple stakeholders. So what we really found fascinating about this group was the fact that they have a wide variety of researchers from different departments within the university. And we saw that they also work very much with outside stakeholders as well, in order to be able to create this model which they have. So yes, that was the very first one. And I think this was one that really, I think it was interesting in the sense that the second group was actually interested in what they had carried out. And the second group was based on the establishment of content, which is also very nice when we look at engagement work, and the establishment of a book, and that was very interesting. So the team here for topic number 2, which was quality assessment for South African schools, building towards a scholarship of assessment. And the team members were Professors Peter Beards, Leslie Legrand, Chris Reddy, and Dr. Samuel Lunde. So this was a partnership between Stellenbosch University as well as the dentistry faculty here at the University of the Western Cape. And what these researchers had done was to bring out a second edition of the book, and the title of the book is Quality Assessment for South African Schools. So this is a second edition. And the importance of the second edition was to, see and also work towards understanding how assessment changes with the change in the educational sector. Okay, so what they've done is that in the very first few chapters, they were able to look at or explain the adjustment in policies from what they originally written in the first edition. And those adjustments are obviously because of the infusion of technology in education. And this has been brought to the forefront by COVID, the pandemic, because everything had to go online, and it was a rapid change both for students as well as for teachers, especially in basic education. So they've now developed this book in order to have it as a tool to help in terms of assessment. So as the educational stream is changing, they have this book in order to aid and to provide a tool that will help teachers to be able to adjust with blended learning and to help them come up with assessment tools that aligned with blended learning as well. So we saw, during the answer and question session that the first group as well as this group, when they spoke, there were areas of possible collaborations, once the colloquium is done. So this was really one of the fascinating things as well about it. So the main focus, I think, was really interesting here was that they were really right at the forefront of answering the question of how do we assess our students? How do we assess our students with the blended learning becoming the norm now after the pandemic? So this was really also one of the very interesting topics that we explored in our breakaway room. Finally was the third topic, which was the impact of industry-related UWC data science programs. And here the team members were Professor Renate Blichnock, Julia Keddy, Humphrey Brendan, Rita Luce, Rochelle Jacobs, and Lenore Bosman. Those are the researchers that were involved in this topic. And the researchers here shared the impact of the University of the Western Cape's data science program, which was started in 2018. So to really talk of engagement in the sense, this started in 2018, but it was started in collaboration with the Center of Business Mathematics and Informatics at Northwest University. And it also was one of the very few master's programs, especially in this field, that has actually become very successful. And the first, if not a few of its kind in the continent as well. Now, one would ask why one would want to start a program like this. And this was obviously to make a contribution towards community engagement, and particularly to be able to ensure that there's success in terms of the students. Now, what they've done is that all this.
But are you?
Thank you for putting that off. Thank you. So what they've done is, for all the students who are registered in the program, they have both an internal research project, which means that they are working with various departments or faculties within the university. And secondly, they have an external project, a research project, which they have to do in industry. Now, this is very unique because as much as they were interested in giving qualification to the students, they're also interested in ensuring they do have hands-on experience in industry, but also to ensure that the skills are put to good use, and whatever they learn is both beneficial for the university as well as for industry partners, who obviously have also been huge funders of this program over the past few years. Okay, so now we also have them, work in different departments: the Faculty of Natural Sciences, departments of Maths and Applied Sciences, and we see that they have forged a really strong partnership both locally as well as internationally in terms of funding, but also in terms of program establishment. With a good example is the University of Ghent, where they've established now another program with them in order to continue the engagement. Now, one would now ask, where does the engagement and where does the research come into play? The research would be obviously what the students are doing, and the research also is in terms of the need for this kind of program. And the need for this kind of program is based on the fact that now we are in an era where the fourth industrial revolution is the main topic of discussion, not just in South Africa, but also internationally. So that is where the focus of research is, as well as the engagement in terms of allowing the students to be able to partake and be part of various different industries. So colleagues, these were the three topics, and we had a lot of engagement here. And I think what I really enjoyed was the fact that there is possible collaborations that are possible at the end of the colloquium. And I think that's the whole aim of why this was established in the first place, that we have a voice as academics, share what we have done, and also see what other possible arenas we may establish and partnerships we may forge following this kind of interaction.